Thank you for the introduction, and thank you everyone for being here to listen to my presentation. I'm going to be presenting about my in-class teaching approach, which involves case-based analysis. I teach educational psychology, and the students who take my courses are teachers or teacher candidates. So what I'm going to be showing here comes from the course, which is Learning and Development in Middle Childhood and Adolescence. So the context or the content is educational psychology, concepts and topics, and how to prepare teachers to apply those concepts and principles and strategies for classroom teaching. So, to begin, here's a definition of case-based learning. It's a student-centered approach, and in this approach, students construct their own knowledge rather than being provided the knowledge, and they do that by solving authentic classroom situations. And the goal of using case-based learning is to make sure that the theories, concepts, and framework that they are learning in educational psychology translate into everyday classroom practice, and it is done through them analyzing simulated real-life situations. So in my class, we follow this structure. Students are given specific reading assignments. They are expected to read and come, and at the beginning of class, I have them do a quick write which simulates what happens in high schools, a do now. So I give them a general question which says, what did you understand from reading about Vygotsky's theory of social cognition? And it's a free write. They are given 10 minutes to write about it. And once they have concluded that, they are given cases that would integrate key processes from the reading, and they are assigned to groups by subject-specific areas. So it would be any subject area that they are going to get certified in. Physical education, art education, music education, languages, science, math, so on. So they are assigned to groups, and they are given a case, and they are asked to apply case-based learning approach. They are given a piece of paper, and on the piece of paper, they are supposed to analyze the case and prepare almost like handwritten PowerPoint, which through the document camera, they then present to the class. And my requirement is that every member of the group must speak. So it cannot be just a spokesperson who comes up and speaks about their case analysis. And when they have done the presentation, we have class discussion, giving feedback. What did you learn from what your peer group shared? Do you agree, disagree? What are your suggestions for improvement? So this is a tailored method we use for all 14 classes. Here's an example of a vignette that would be given to them. This particular topic focuses on attribution theory, which is by Wiener in relation to motivation and goal setting. And they have to understand this as classroom teachers. When they grade student work and return it to them, how do the students interpret the feedback that they receive? So you can see student A and student B both received 96 out of 100, but their attributions are very different, or their interpretation of what they got back is very different. Of course, they are doing A grade work, but you can see student A believes that she understands or they understand the information very easily and did not study much for the test and is ecstatic that the questions that were there on the exam were the ones that she had studied for and therefore got a 96, right? Another student who got a 96 attributes his thing to, like, I did well because I put in the time, I put in the effort, I read very well, and I am surprised that the questions that were there were from the review test and not directly from all the reading that I did, okay? And that next time I will take the test, I'll have to think differently. So this is given to the groups, and then they have to analyze it. In order for them to analyze it, cannot be an open-ended analysis, so they are given prompts, they are given inductive questions. And these are the questions that are given to them based on the two cases, and they have to basically apply the concepts from the reading from educational psychology. So which attributes could lend towards intrinsic motivation for future learning? Explain why. Which attributions have the potential for advancing academic performance? Explain why. Can personal experience contribute towards formation of attributions? Explain why. Can attributions be influenced by educational interventions? Explain why. The last question applies to classroom teaching. So as teachers, when you have students who are attributing their successes and failures to external factors, such as, oh, the questions were all from the review sheet, and therefore I did well because it was practiced in the class. Compared to another student who may say, well, I didn't study enough and I need to put in more effort, more time, more strategic way of preparing, will have a different goal and plan for the future. And as teachers, how can they intervene? How can they work with these two sets of students and help them both focus on effort and not ability, or focus on changing the environment rather than taking luck and chance for their success? These are some studies that back up the method that I use in my teaching. Each of these studies, this was done with the Bachelor of Science students in Australia. This one was done with, and my apologies, it's not very large font. This was done with students in Africa, and this is, I believe, in the US with physical education students. Each of these studies that were done, empirical studies, emphasize the three steps that I mentioned. Students should individually try to understand the reading and the case. They should work in groups and they should solve the problem, and then there should be whole class discussion. In the past, when I've taught this course online, they deposit their work on the learning management system, and they are engaged in a discussion forum, and they respond back and forth through that. And in the in-person class, as I said, they do it in person, verbally in the class by showing their written work. Socratic seminar. So remember, that is the approach, or that is the modality that I use to engage them in group work and whole class discussion and share out. So what are the components of Socratic seminar? One, educators should provide students with foundational questions. It cannot be just an open-ended group discussion like free time. So it has to have, questions that are focused, like probing questions, questions that require clarification, questions that allow for viewpoints and exchange of multiple answers. So that's the first step. And again, research has been done to show that these are effective approaches. Here are some examples I'm giving from my class about how they are provided inductive questions. So for this topic, which is on students with exceptionalities, they have to learn about least restricted environment, response to intervention, inclusion. So the prompts they are given is, do you think students with learning disabilities should take an advanced placement algebra course? Why or why not? Should content and format adaptation approaches be used for students in general education? Why or why not? And then they get a vignette, and with the vignette, they are then asked to answer these questions, where Mr. E believes that students with learning disabilities do not have the aptitude to take advanced placement math. That's why they should not be taking it. And then the students have to agree, disagree with Mr. E's position, and they have to talk about why or why not. So those are the questions. The next step is they have to be given the opportunities to say what they believe, and this is the same vignette that I had shown you before. When they answer the questions, they have the opportunity to say and believe what they think about a case. Analogies have to be provided. So here's an example. When they learn about assimilation and accommodation, the analogy that is used is of a file cabinet. If they are going to learn about new breeds of dogs, they cannot just fit it into existing breed of dogs, so they have to create a new folder or add a more section or category to it. And then through assimilation, they are going to create new information about dogs that are purebred. And examples have to be given. So when they learn about retroactive facilitation, when they learn about proactive facilitation, they are given examples about how retroactive means if students have learned math, they can do stats. Proactive would be if they know scientific terms, when they start writing lab reports, it helps them recall scientific terms. Moving to case-based approaches, let me go back, never mind. So for the case studies that I give them, this is the rubric that is used to help them analyze and to present in class. The writing, the PowerPoint that they present is graded based on what is shown on the top, and then the oral presentation is, so they have to talk about plans, strategies, resources, methods, and how the theory integrates all of those. Here's another vignette, which is for video-based analysis. So they are given videos, and they have to watch the videos first individually, and then they meet in the class, and they respond to the vignettes, and they do the presentation. So here's a rubric for the written analysis of the videos. Here is the outcome. So this is what I found. Even though research says that video-based analysis of cases is productive and more helpful, I have found better responses with written case analysis rather than video case analysis. Perhaps they cannot retain 10 minutes or 15 minutes of video information, whereas when they have a written case in front of them, it lends more towards it. So here are again the numbers in terms of, there were 12 that were superior analysis, 8 that were competent analysis, and 4 that were adequate analysis of the written text that they were given to analyze. And here is for the video, the superior had 2, the competent had 16, and the adequate had 4. Understand, nobody did below expectation. So case-based analysis in the classroom, and when they write their responses and when I grade them and evaluate them after the whole class discussion has been done, shows that the text-based is more favorable than the video-based. So solutions, perhaps the students themselves should be creating videos because they are teachers. They also have to learn how to not only see videos, but use videos as a coaching mechanism and use their own videos to analyze their own teaching and learning approaches. The other thing that we need to keep in mind is the questions come from me. Instead, it should be also coming from them. So they could be given the readings, they could be told to write up the vignette, and they should be asked to write questions, and those could be swapped between groups for response. I did that on Wednesday with my graduate class. They are all teachers, so I was doing classroom management. I told them to write one case from their classroom, and they exchanged it with the other groups, and the groups had to come up with solutions for dealing with the classroom situation that they were describing. So that could be a solution. So thank you so very much. Appreciate the time.